Paramount Pictures is currently filming a major motion picture in North Georgia called
Very interesting things, which you'll see once you check out that movie.
We generally work on a few different types of projects. Obviously, we do a lot of short films.
Michael, how did you get started in filmmaking?
A very large part of the success of any project.
And I started my filmmaking career actually on a cruise ship, making short films.
Wow. I'm the executive producer to our new feature film, The Common Denominator.
Tell us a little bit about your character in the film.
She's really upset from the beginning, from the get.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, basically, I somehow started acting in 1990.
Hello, I'm Lakeisha Love, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Rural Hollywood, a show that takes an in-depth look in the movie industry in the Southeast and beyond. On today's episode, Shermaine McKellar will sit down with R.L. Scott of Shadow Motion Pictures about his upcoming feature film, Slums 13. But first, I will sit down with Jason Nord and Andrew Kemp of Digitype Productions to talk about their feature film, Geekin'. And we're here with two very, very important people. We have Jason Nord and Andrew Kemp of Digitype Productions. Hi, guys.
Hey there. Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having us.
That's awesome. So, how did Digitype Productions, how was it created, and how did it form?
Well, I guess we were founded in the mid-90s, about 94 or so, when a few friends of mine and myself sort of got together and made up our minds to take control of our own creative destiny. Mm-hmm. We sort of thought about creating this multifaceted production company that was sort of based in community and collaboration. We wanted to sort of focus on bringing a lot of things internal, in-house, and instead of sitting around waiting to get noticed by some major studio or something like that. I mean, at the time, we were doing mostly music production. So we started off as a record label.
Oh, okay. And
then over the years, we started to get involved with theater productions, game design, and ultimately film. So it was always the goal that we end up doing film.
Wow. Wow, that's evolving.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot. But I mean, when you get into the industry, sometimes that's what happens. That's awesome. Well, for our audience members that don't know, can you tell us what role playing is?
How would you?
Well, I think a lot of people have at least heard of the term Dungeons and Dragons,
yes.
Right?
That's true.
That's probably the most famous of the role-playing games.
Mm-hmm.
But a role-playing game is a type of game where its players take on personas of larger-than-life characters, and they're walked through an adventure or a story, and have to make decisions based on their character.
Mm-hmm.
This can be done live, but most often it's done in someone's basement around a table with some dice, some pizza, Cheetos, and Mountain Dew.
Right.
So, but that's generally a role-playing game, what it's all about.
Okay. How long have you been involved in that?
A lot of us started, Jason and I long ago sort of hung up the dice on that one, but we run in a sort of a social circle where everybody, in like sort of the geek subculture, everybody sort of knows everybody and is involved in different things. So a great number of people that we know are involved even today in just getting together and throwing dice down and having a good time. We've done our fair share of that and the live action. We ran a couple of live action productions for a while in gaming. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of our crew has a long, sordid history in geeky kind of hobbies.
Cool though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, kinda.
Maybe.
So.
But yeah, so that's basically it.
Okay, well, I keep hearing you use this term geek. You know, I'm just curious. How do you define geek, or what is your definition of geek?
Well, first of all, we use that as a proud label.
Right.
We're very proud of it.
Definitely.
And there are a lot of people, though, who use it, you know, back in school, if you were called a geek, you know, it's an issue. But there's a lot of people that take a lot of pride in it, and it's being outside of the norm, being into things that other people are normally not into, or feel that you're sort of, I don't know, sort of socially unacceptable to be part of. You know, if you're into Star Wars, then it's like, oh God, that guy's into Star Wars, you know, and it's, but it's sort of the reflection of that. Instead of hiding, it's like these people, they get together and they say, okay, well, you're not going to be into that, but us and 10 of my friends are, and then we're going to get together and we're going to invite 2,000 more to come into Atlanta every year for Dragon Con. And you know, and it becomes a big thing, and it becomes like a badge of honor. And that's when we talk about geeks, we're not making fun at all. You know, we are geeks, and we know geeks, and we love it, and that's just
geeking and proud.
Amen. That's the way it is.
That's awesome. And I couldn't also help but to notice that we're kind of color coordinated. It kind of color coordinated. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, he totally planned that.
Yeah. Actually, you know, no, what? I don't even know how to react to that.
Great fashion sense.
Yeah. No, the geek color is black. You wear black, you know, because you know, that's just the way it is. It's still counterculture.
I've heard to feel cooler than you are, probably.
Yeah. That, and it's supposed to be slimming.
That doesn't work. It's not slimming at all. No.
That is so cool. You guys are great. This is a great interview. So can you tell us about your full-length feature film, Geekin'?
Sure. Yeah.
What's it all about?
Well, Geekin's a story about, you know, some such group of geeks. They're role-playing geeks. They're gamers. They're the type of people that I mentioned before. They sit around the table and roll some dice and play some role-playing games. And it's really about what happens to their fragile social circle when one of them brings home a date.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing about the sort of the geek subculture we're talking about is it's very male dominated, and right. You know, it's just I don't know what the odds, I don't know what the numbers actually are, but it's probably at least 3 to 1 male to female just tends to circulate around these things. And we always sort of felt bad for the gamer girl geek, because, you know, in those kinds of odds, every guy, they go for her, right? And so she, you know, I don't know a girl that's into the same things as some of these guys that doesn't have stories of, God, I walked in the room and everybody was after me, and it's like, you know, I'm just there to play games, and that sort of became something. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over, and that became something we wanted to talk about, which was that, you know, this one girl who just wants to be part of the group, you know, and everybody's going crazy trying to get with this girl, and you know, with disastrous results, of course.
Really?
Of course.
Wow, that's cool. We're definitely going to have to check that out. Well, what inspired the film?
Well, for me, it was this man's script. So that was enough right there. I was in as soon as I read the script.
That was your inspiration, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I gave it to him over beer. It works. But yeah, he.
No, that I take beer serious. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin.
Oh, you're a beer geek.
That's right. That's right. It's the truth. Yeah, it applies to me. So.
Absolutely. No, well, I invented the script, and I don't know how to. There may or may not, I will not confirm or deny, may have been a situation I was involved in that was very similar to those kinds of things that I was just talking about, and you know, there was a certain point in my life where you know, it was just part of the daily life of like, oh my God, whatever, you know, how is this working out, and it just was percolating up there until I sort of invented the first scene that came to mind. I remember I was sitting actually at Dragon Con, which is this yearly, basically 4-day long geek party downtown. Always happens every Labor Day weekend. I was actually at that place, and I just sort of had this scene that sort of came to my mind, and then I took that scene, and before I even left the convention that weekend, I had written, you know, the beat sheet, the basic plot line for what was going to be Geekin'. And the funny thing is that scene that was like the first initial inspiration totally got cut. But you know, that's what happens. We're making movies. We're making movies.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You have to start somewhere.
But that was the inspiration, is to try and put some of my own issues onto paper. Even though I'm not much of a gamer geek in that world. I'm much more of a film guy. But I mean, again, I run in those circles, and so I sort of borrowed from what I saw every day, and you know, friends and what they were into and what they were like, and just like archetypes that you run into all the time with geeks, and then sort of put it together into this mishmash group of guys that just want to have their game, but they can't. It's being disrupted by Love Jones. I don't know what you call them. People going crazy over it. I don't know. Making it up.
Now here's time for the best part. Let's take a look at the trailer for Geekin'.
We're geeks. We grew up as outcasts. We dressed the wrong way, we read the wrong books. We stood out as different. We as geeks banded together to form our own group where we were socially acceptable. You know, we gamed together, we hung out together, we were friends together.
Are you Morgan?
Excuse me?
Are you Morgan?
Try not to fall apart, thinking where to start, so I will try till the day I die to win your heart.
Wasn't that cool? So, I mean, can you tell me where are some of the festivals or, some of the venues where, Geekin' has been?
We premiered the film in Augusta, Georgia at the Southern Fried Flicks Film Festival. That was in 2006. And since then, we also took the film to the Atlanta Underground Film Festival, and we've done some screenings at other conventions, like some gaming and comic book conventions, like Dragon Con that Andy was talking about. We've done a lot of those types of screenings, and we've had a really positive reaction to it so far.
Well, what are some other projects that that you're involved in, or that you'd like to be involved in?
Well, I mean, definitely more film. We're rolling with doing more film, and we still have our roots in music production. We've got some more albums and EPs coming out, but with film, we released a short film here in 2007. In January, we released a film called After, which Andy actually directed.
Right. It's it's a very short film, 7 minutes. Sort of a monster movie. I'll go ahead and use the zombie word, the Z word. But yeah, it's sort of a experimental piece with it's basically 7 minutes of a zombie kind of attack from the point of view of one of the monsters. And you're going from, it's all single shot, going through a house and outside, and it's very complicated, but it's been really well received. Right. So that's available online for free. For free. Absolutely for free.
For free.
Just to check it out.
Yeah, that's the truth. Free is good. Free is free. We all love free.
He doesn't.
No, I don't like free.
No free?
I love free.
I do too. See, that's the great minds I was telling you about.
Look at that. Been shut out of the interview. You're yeah, look at that.
There's been a wall.
No.
No, just joking. Can you give us your contact information? How can our audience members, take a look at the, a trailer or, any of these great projects, from the music to everything?
Well, our main site is www.digitribe.net. That should be right about here. www.digitribe.net.
They're not putting that in there, dude.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
And
spell that out.
digitribe.net. That's our main site. You can see a lot of the shorts and videos that we have there. And then Geekin' is available at www.geekinmovie.com. And it's available for purchase on DVD from that site.
That's Geekin' with no G at the end. It's, just Geekin'. Like Geekin.
You should probably put that on the screen too.
They're totally not gonna
right
do
about
that,
there? That looks about right.
I'm sorry. If they do it and I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for viewing. We have Jason Norrit and Andrew Kemp of Digitype Productions. For more information, log on to our website, www.rulhollywood.com. Next up, Shermaine McKellar in her interview with R.L. Scott about his upcoming feature film, Slums 13.
Here we are with filmmaker R.L. Scott of Shadow Motion Pictures. He's the writer and director of the upcoming action drama, Slums 13. We're so delighted to have you here, Mr. Scott.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Okay. Okay, share with our audience what your experience is as a martial artist.
I've been studying martial arts for over 20 years. I started when I was roughly about 8 years old, and taught martial arts for probably over 12 years. I studied a Chinese system called Wushu, which is a combination of northern and southern styles of kung fu from mainland China, and it's had a lot of influence on the way that I make films today, and of course it's the reason I became an action filmmaker, because I have such a love for action films and martial arts as a science.
How did you get involved in filmmaking?
I always knew I'd be a filmmaker. I started writing when I was about 16, and I knew early on that it's what I wanted to do with my life. Is when I would go to bed, it was on my mind when I wake up, and even to this day, I collect a lot of foreign cinema, like Hong Kong films and films from Japan, Korea, Thailand, that sort of thing. So, my love for martial arts and film just kind of fused together, and it's just it's the most amazing thing. You get to meet so many different people and take an idea in your head and create something like a piece of history, that'll last forever. So I just love it.
Okay. Tell us about the 2 promotional films you made for Capcom video games.
There were 2 hugely popular games. One was Devil May Cry, and one was Tekken. And I did a 50-minute promotional film called Devil May Cry Sins Remembered. And honestly, I just created the films for exposure. I knew that both films had a really big following, so I knew it would garner a certain amount of attention. So and it seemed like a really good vehicle to kind of show the world what I can do in terms of action, and I love those genre of films, sci-fi and horror action, that sort of thing. So it was really for promotional reasons, and it got a lot of exposure. Actually, I'm being featured in the February issue of PlayStation Magazine. For those 2 works, and I had no idea that they had so many fans. I was a fan of both Tekken and Devil May Cry, but I got so much mail, from the UK, Poland, Germany, just all over the world. So many people who were really anticipating seeing those films, and right now they're both actually completed. We're in post-production. Right now, there's a lot of visual effects in Devil May Cry, especially. So they should actually both be out probably by the middle of the year. And I don't know, but it's very demanding, doing those types of projects that have so many fans, because there's it's good for exposure, but there's so many things you have to get right. There's very little room for any mistakes. So it was definitely a learning experience. Doing those projects.
Great. Let's take a look at some of your work. Tell us about your upcoming feature film, Slums 13. What is it about exactly?
Let's see, it's hard to describe in a few words, but the story takes place in Atlanta. We've created this, it's a city that is familiar, but just a different look at the city. It's a lot of action, a lot of really violent action, but it's very dramatic at the same time. And there are these two lead characters who are kind of pulled into this situation. There's this district in Atlanta called the 13th District, and it's divided into 4 sections. And it's a really violent area, you know. It's so bad that the cops don't even police it, you know.
Wow.
And there are 4 crime syndicates, not to give the impression that it's, you know, like, it's not a, I don't want to use the wrong term, but it's more along the lines of you know, The Departed, or it's well written, and but anyway, it's about these 4 crime syndicates. There's an African American group, an Asian group, a Latin group, and an Italian group, and they're all kind of warring over control of the city. And there's a task force of detectives who have been trying to bring down these organizations, and everything comes to a head when an undercover officer is murdered. And I don't want to give too much away, but we've got some really talented people lined up for this project. We've casted Timok from The Last Dragon. A lot of people remember him as Bruce Leroy, and The Last Dragon. Ernie Reyes Jr. from The Rundown, Ninja Turtles 2, Surf Ninjas, Lateef Crowder, who fought Tony Jaa in The Protector, the film that just recently came out. And we also have T. Covington from Forever. We have the world record holder for board breaking, this guy named Mitt Lennox, who's a great martial artist. And then a lot of actors from Atlanta, Connie Marie, Shane Seal, Clifton Jennings, Matt Villachet. I don't want to leave anybody out that get upset. Greg Foreman, Elizabeth Tavares. And we just got a really, really talented cast and crew of actors, actresses, martial artists, and it's going to be an amazing project.
Okay. Share with our audience how you was able to get a distribution deal with Miramax for your movie while it was still in the pre-production stage.
Well, a lot of times it's what you know is good, but sometimes who you know is good also. So I've got two fantastic producers on this film, Mike Carson and Vaughn Newton, and they have connections, through Miramax and MGM Studios, and so we were able to secure a deal before we even started shooting. So I was really blessed, really fortunate to be working with them. So I have a partnership with them now. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot of projects coming from us real soon.
All right. What are some projects that you have coming up that you can share with our audience?
I've been brought onto a project being produced by the Peoples Film Company with Bobby Peoples Sr. and as the producer, and DeWitt Jones as the director. It's a film called Night of the Jackals, and it's sort of a horror action film about genetically altered humans, sort of like vampires.
Oh.
Myself and my stunt team will be choreographing all the action for that. And of course, Slums 13 is in pre-production right now. And there's I actually just released the first episode of a web series called Training for Slums 13, which is sort of like an action comedy. And there'll be several episodes throughout. The filming of Slums 13 it was really done as a way to boost positive energy for the cast. So the first episode's online, and we'll be having several cast and crew members from Slums 13 make appearances.
Okay.
And it's a really, really good action. And the project it's got some lighthearted moments also. So
we'd like to thank our guests, Jason Norrit, Andrew Kemp, and R.L. Scott, for appearing on the show. And we'd also like to thank you, our viewers, for joining us. So be sure to tune in next time for another great episode of Rural Hollywood.